Hello and welcome to the Liz Experiment YouTube channel. I'm your host, Liz, and this is the channel where I record field notes from my journey towards architecting my best life. I am back in Edgewood, New Mexico this week. I think this is my I have one more week here. And I'm here house sitting for my friends and, of course, coming up with amazing lessons learned and things that I worked on. And this week, all of that centers around me really digging into some lessons learned from a book that I just finished, as well as from this podcast that I randomly found. So hopefully what I talk about today will be helpful to you in your journey towards architecting your best life. Let's find out, shall we?
Life's a foolish game. Do you ever feel the same? Well, maybe we could change. Turn the ship another way.
So, as I mentioned in the introduction, the things that I learned this week and the things that I worked on really stemmed from, or I don't say really, but part of them, or a large part of them, stemmed from two pretty impactful resources that I stumbled upon. The first of those was a book that I received as a Christmas present back in 2018 that I finally got around to reading. And that book actually has a pretty long title, and I'll provide a link to it down below. However, the part of the title that I remember is From Good to Great, How Some Businesses Are Wildly Successful. That's not the whole title, but you get the point. The point is, I read this book, and in this book, they did research over decades around these corporations that were way more successful than other corporations. And it was a rigorous study. It wasn't, a few companies over 5 years. It was which of these Fortune 500 companies over a certain amount of time found a certain level of success in the stock market versus others. It's a great book. I highly recommend it, whether you're in business or not. And what I really took away from this book, which to apply to my life in trying to architect my best life, was one of the main ways these companies found success was by figuring out why they exist, right? What is their purpose? What do they want to contribute to the world? And then they believed in that why at all cost. They knew they were going to be successful. Maybe they didn't know how successful they were going to be financially, but they knew they had to try to get this why into being. At the same time, despite their unwavering faith, they were brutally honest with what was happening around them. The stock market is crashing, or there's a recession coming, or our industry is going kaput because of the internet, whatever. They were just very brutally honest about that. And then they took consistent action based off of that honesty and that reality, that they took consistent reaction. They took consistent action that aligned with their reason for being. And they didn't become wildly successful overnight. This was a consistent practice that happened over years and years and decades. And they just consistently kept turning this wheel of believing in what they were doing, acting towards that belief based off what they saw happening around them, and continuing to move in that way. And eventually, that wheel they kept spinning gained enough momentum for them to carry off into success. But it all hinged on them believing in their why. And I really took that into account, both for my business and for myself this week. That was just not necessarily incredibly new lessons, but a really robust and data-backed study that pointed out a system for architecting your best life, really, but also architecting a great business. So that was the first thing that I learned this week. Just a small little something, something. The second resource that I stumbled upon, and this one I've played with, or when I say played with, I mean like rumble around in my mind, for a little less time, or a lot less time, because I just stumbled upon it yesterday. And that was the Life Coach School podcast. And I'll provide a link to the episode that I listened to yesterday in the description area as well. But in that podcast, she really broke down what I've been talking about for a hot minute, or at least trying to. But the way she summarized it and directed it was way more concise than I'll ever be. Sorry, y'all. but you press play, you're bad. Anyway, what she said was um, that all of the actions we take, are really motivated by us trying to elicit some feeling. So we eat something to feel comforted, for instance. And that feeling, that needing to feel comforted, comes from our thoughts. And so we need to feel comforted because we think we're not good enough, or we think we're in danger, or we think something bad's going to happen to us, which is the same thing as being in danger, Liz. but so what she kind of describes is that your thoughts control your feelings, and your feelings are the catalyst for the actions you take in life. And her thesis, which is a thesis I think many, she's a psychologist or psychiatrist. I'm sorry, I don't know exactly which one, but she's a mental health professional. She's a life coach. But that thesis is one we see throughout a lot of self-help, which is if you can understand why you think a certain way, where your thoughts come from, and really dig into them, then you can change those thoughts, which then will change the feelings you want to have, which then will change the actions you take in your life. So I was thinking about that a lot over the past day, because another thing I learned this week was that as I've kind of been talking about in the videos, I've started to go back into this world of dating, and I started that through online dating. And what I learned there was that everybody in the game is playing a game. And whether that's right or wrong, or that's for a different podcast, but what her thesis helped me to reconnect with is that everybody's actions, let's just use online dating as an example right now. Everybody's actions are motivated by some feeling they're trying to feel, whether that's comfort, lust, passion, acceptance, whatever. Every action people take are motivated by their feelings that they're trying to feel. And all those feelings they want to feel are being triggered by thoughts they have about themselves and their environment. And so the biggest lesson that I learned was to really look at my own thoughts. Why do I have the thoughts that I have? What are the thoughts that I have? What do I want to get out of dating? What do I want to get out of business? Why am I in business? Why am I dating again? Why am I on the road? You get it. I'm not going to keep going with that. But that was really what centered around or that's really what my lessons learned centered around this week. And of course, what I worked on stemmed from those. And so one of the biggest things I worked on, as I was alluding to, was really reconnecting or connecting with, or in the case of online dating or dating in general, reestablishing the why I'm doing anything. So why am I in business? I'm very firm in that. My business partner and I are very firm in that. We've had a lot of discussions on that, which honestly, before these resources came into my world, I never questioned us having those conversations, but they didn't always feel progressive. Well, that's a lie. They always felt progressive, but logically they didn't always seem thought-wise like we were using our time. Like we should be being productive. And now I see that those discussions and the discussions that we continue to have in that realm are of the utmost importance, because they help us reassert our why. They help us to have faith in that why above anything else, and to take actions consistent with that why, despite what's happening in the world around us, which we have to be brutally honest about. So I really worked on that. And then especially, so on the business side, yes. And then with the dating side, why am I doing this? I first started doing this to just get back into it. Like how do I want to, what is the world like? What is talking with men in a romantic or attractive way like? Haven't done that in a long time. Yes, I feel like a loser admitting that on YouTube, but it's happening. So here we are. And now as I realize and I learn, I'm reestablishing that why. What else do I want to get out of it? I think the biggest thing is, and these are the words of my dear friend, which are seeing if I can own my power instead of giving my power away. And I'll get more into that some other time. But okay, owning my why was the first thing I worked on, and then being brutally honest with myself about what was happening in the world around me. So in business, that meant, yeah, we have a great why. I not just we have a great why, like we are in business because we want to bring more humanity to business. Try selling that. The reality is, the brutal reality is, people don't buy that, you know? And so, how do we sell our work so that we can bring our why into the world? Um, and that's good. I think that's good thinking and good work. So that's one thing I worked on. On the social side of things, it's okay. Everybody's playing a game. Every guy out there who reaches out to me is hunting me down, and that's okay. But what game do I want to play? And not game like to try to mm, for me to be on not honest or to try to trick somebody. It's more, what do I want to get out of this? Now that I'm being brutally honest with myself, how do I what is my why and how do I act consistently with that? How do I hold my power and stay true to that why? So, all of this work really has been about staying consistent with this practice. And I know this is kind of like still like kind of out there because I'm not quite sure of it myself, to be honest with you. Like I'm sure of the method that I'm talking about, but I'm unsure still, and I'm still processing for myself how that and what that means to me. And I'm pretty sure I'll be talking about that over the next few weeks. So as I as I connect with my why, as I define that why, as I understand my thoughts, as I uncover all of this, I'm really creating that consistent flywheel, that momentum that needs to start happening in our lives to actualize change. If you want change, and if you don't, and you're not confident in why, this is also the process of how you get there. Okay, whew, this is a big one because I'm talking about books and resources. You get it. But that's all for this week, really. So next week, I think, yeah, next week I'll be in Edgewood. I'm having a hard time remembering that in this video. And hopefully I'll have more to report back on all of this that's a little bit or a lot more concrete, but we'll see. I want to thank Hans Adam featuring Snowflake for the music that I use in the intro and outro for these videos. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, or if you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with being brutally honest about what you felt about this video. If you want to receive these videos in your inbox every week, don't forget to subscribe. Please comment. Like, I think, well, you know what? If you have something to say, you go on ahead and say it because I would love to hear it. And then I guess until next week, thank you so very much for watching. I very much appreciate your energy. It helps me to keep going, even whether or not you do any of the things above that I just mentioned. I appreciate it. So thank you.